Hello. So my name is Krista Seiden, and I am the analytics advocate here at Google. I'm also a product manager for Google Analytics, so I get to be out in market and talk about how much I love this product, and then I get to go back and actually help build this product. I think it's a pretty cool job. But previous to that, I actually spent most of the last decade as a practitioner of analytics and optimization, both internally at Google and at other companies like Adobe and the Apollo Group. So a lot of what I'm going to actually talk to you about is pulling from examples during that time of my practitioner days, coupled with what I've learned along the way, helping to build the products that we use today. You can find me on Twitter at Krista Seiden, and I blog at kristaseiden.com. I also am a huge advocate of women in analytics. I blog about that often as well, so hopefully you're a supporter there. And you can hashtag women in analytics and follow the really awesome women in our analytics industry that way. So I'm super excited to be here today. I kid you not, I have stalked this event on YouTube for the past several years, and I was overjoyed when I got the email invite to come speak. Finally, I was like, yes, I'm finally going to be on the stage at the Foundry. It's such a cool event. So thank you very much for having me here today. All right, I want to dig right in, and I want to talk to you about some of the factors that are contributing to low conversion rates. So one is user experience. Is your page slow loading? We heard a lot about that earlier today. Hard to navigate. Do you have actionable analytics? Are you implemented in a way that you're going to be able to collect the data you need to make these decisions? Are you focused on site content and personalization? Are you delivering the right experience to the right person at the right time? And finally, do you have the appropriate development resources to be able to do all of this? So today I'm going to focus on number 2 and number 3, analytics and optimization and personalization. So let's dive right into analytics that drive optimization. So we did a study, and we found that 94% of marketers agree that doing website optimization and personalization is important. Raise your hand if you also agree. Should be 94% of you. Great. And of those who are actually doing it, they report a 19% uplift in sales. So it's actually very worthwhile to be investing in this practice. In fact, the Harvard Business Review says that if you don't have a deep understanding of your customers, you're ceding one of your most important aspects to your business, that you have all of this information about your customers and you need to use it. So to that end, I've created an optimization framework that I'm going to walk you through today. So the first step, and what I'm going to spend the first part of this talking about, is analyze. And analytics and the data that you need to be able to collect to really understand what's going on with your optimization program. Next is hypothesize, followed by testing, and finally personalization. So let's start with our first step, which is analyze. So I've actually got a few tips for you in terms of the data that you want to be collecting, the data that you want to be looking at in your analytics reports to be able to take most advantage of your optimization opportunities. And it starts with your implementation. So here we have the data layer. Raise your hand if you use Tag Manager, Google Tag Manager, or anything else. Great. I love Google Tag Manager. Love the data layer. It's so useful. So I'm going to walk you through an example of how this can be useful to your analyst. So I'm at home in San Francisco, and I have a craving for Italian food delivery. My fiance works for Postmates, so you can see up here, I typed in Postmates into that URL. I would be exiled from the house if I used some other service like Uber Eats. Postmates is a food delivery company. So I go ahead and I click on that first one, because it sounds pretty good, Tommaso's Italian restaurant. I'm going to click through. I'm like, all right, this looks good. I'm interested in this restaurant. I think I'm going to order that cheesy lasagna. Is awesome looking. But now I flip the switch. I'm the analyst for Postmates. And I want to know which restaurant categories, which restaurants, types of food are most important or most interesting to users in all these different cities so that I can optimize my search results and I can optimize my landing pages and make sure that I have the right food, the right types of businesses standing out to users when they come to my site. And I take a look at that URL. And it is order.postmates.com/Tommaso's Restaurant San Francisco. And I realize there's a problem here. If I look into my pages report in Google Analytics, I'm going to see a whole lot of pages for these individual restaurant pages, or these individual restaurants, and there's not going to be a rhyme or reason to it. Some of their URLs say San Francisco or have a name in it. Some of them don't. I don't know what type of restaurant this is based on the URL. So my page analysis is going to be pretty weak. That's where the data layer comes in. I can add a couple of variables here. So the first I've added is city. And in this case, it's going to be San Francisco. And another I've added is page subcategory for Italian. And I'm going to send this as a custom dimension to Google Analytics. And that way, when I, as the analyst, go into Google Analytics and I'm doing a page analysis, I can add a secondary dimension with that custom dimension and have a lot more insight into the types of restaurants that are interesting in what cities to what users. So this can be really, really powerful as an analyst. So my second tip is using goals to track your conversion success. Goals in Google Analytics are fundamental. In fact, I give a lot of presentations about my favorite tools in Google Analytics or what I would recommend most. Goals are always up there in my list because they really impact everything that you want to report on in the tool. So I mentioned that I spent a lot of time as a practitioner. One of my first jobs at Google was building and running an analytics and optimization program for the enterprise group, which is now the G Suite group at Google. And we had a 3-step sign-up flow to sign up for a free trial of our business. And so we had a goal that that sign-up flow had been completed. And here I have a goal funnel report in Google Analytics showing me each step of that 3-page flow. As you can see, there's actually a huge drop-off from page 1 to 2. And that gives me insight that either users are not getting the information they need on page 1 to proceed to page 2, or perhaps our marketing on our website that is sending them into the sign-up flow isn't the right match for this audience. They don't know what they're getting into when they click that button to go into this flow. But either way, this funnel visualization has given me the insight I need to know that I need to dig in further here. There's a problem. So if I take that further, this is a custom report in Google Analytics. There's a few things going on here. I actually have some dimensions that I've passed in with all of the test variations I'm running that have a test number and a test name. But along the top, I have my analytics goals. And in this case, I'm tracking a few different things. I have micro conversions, so I actually have a goal for each one of those pages along the 3-step sign-up flow. And I have my macro conversion of that sign-up flow sign-up. And I can look at this across each test variation, across each variant in each test, and analyze much more granularly than I would have been able to before. So tip number 3 is your site can tell you what's important. So there's a lot of reports in Google Analytics that I could go into about this. You can look at browser reports, browser version, a lot of different things. I love the site search report. And I love it because it's actually user intent. These users are directly telling you in that search box what they care about, what they want to find on your website. And perhaps that your website is not matching their intent because they're not able to find this content easily or not enough of it. So for example, this is my personal blog. And people are searching a lot for Tag Manager. So I blog a lot about Tag Manager, but clearly not enough because people really want to know more about Tag Manager on my site. They're searching for it a lot. This is Crazy Egg. This is not a Google Analytics tool. I wish it was a Google Analytics tool. Years ago, I begged the GA team to buy this tool. Now it's just too expensive. We don't do heat mapping very well, but that's a whole nother story. So, Crazy Egg. Love this tool. Specifically this report. It's the confetti report. Anybody ever used this report? All right, a few of you. So you know probably why I love this so much. So you can actually change those little dots to be a lot of different things. They can be the refer, they can be the time of day, the time to click. That one can be really valuable because you can start to separate the actions that are happening on your page based on whether they happened in under a second or over 30 seconds. So I actually, before I came to Google, I ran analytics for a company called the Apollo Group. It's a higher education company. And we had been doing a project to build a career portal. Spent a lot of time, a lot of development resources, a lot of energy building this career portal. And we had focused around 3 main calls to action on the website. They were right there above the fold, 3 big pictures with a resume builder and a career resource and a place to find more help. And we launched it. We saw a ton of people coming to this page, lots of page views. and almost no click-throughs into the resources that we wanted people to click on. And we were scratching our heads, couldn't figure it out. We were like, clearly there's interest into this page. We're getting so much traffic coming there. Why aren't they actually engaging with the 3 resources above the fold that are the calls to action on this page? So we put Crazy Egg on there. And what we found was that there was actually a ton of clicks on these resources. But all of the clicks were on the images. And our development team had forgotten to make these images clickable. The only clickable element there was just a little link right below the images, which was getting almost 0 clicks because it was hidden in the text. So it was a really simple test, a really simple thing to put on the page and run and find out why this wasn't happening. As soon as we made that change, we saw a huge increase, a huge interest in these resources. So it was a big win, and I have it all to thank to Crazy Egg. So I want to run through an example analysis with you. Let's take the Google Merchandise Store. You guys familiar with the Google Merchandise Store? It's where you can buy Google branded gear. If you really, really want that Google branded hoodie, you can go to the Google Merchandise Store and we'll sell you one. It's also our demo account for Google Analytics. So this data set is open to anyone. You can go in and play with it and practice your analytics skills. So here we have the Google Merchandise Store, and we're digital marketers for this store, right? And we want to know what the performance of our paid advertising is. So here we're looking at a keyword report for our AdWords reports. And I'm looking at my top 2 keywords by volume. And it's Google Merchandise and Google Merchandise Store. However, when I segment this down to mobile, I see that my conversion rates are actually really different for these 2 different keywords. So Google Merchandise has twice the conversion rate as Google Merchandise Store on a mobile device. And now I'm scratching my head and I'm thinking, like, what's causing this? So that brings us to the next step of our optimization framework. We need to hypothesize. So my hypothesis here is that perhaps on a mobile device, if somebody is searching for Google Merchandise Store, they are actually looking for a physical store that they can walk into and buy Google branded gear. Now, I happen to know, and they probably don't know, that we only have 2 physical stores in the world for Google Merchandise gear. One of them happens to be right upstairs out the back door and hang left, right here in this building. And the other one is at our California headquarters in Mountain View. So if you're outside of either of those areas, Google Merchandise Store is probably not leading you to a physical store. So a possible solution might be to actually highlight on a landing page for this keyword some online-only items, and that we have fast delivery or free delivery or some incentive that these users want to stick around and shop for gear on our online store. But how do we know if this will work? This is where we get to the next step of our optimization framework, and that is testing. So we're going to go ahead and create a couple of variations of this test, a couple different landing pages for users coming from the keyword Google Merchandise Store, highlighting different online-only options and different delivery methods. Then we're going to go ahead and select the goals that we want to test this towards. And in this case, I think it's pretty clear. We want to increase the conversion rate on mobile devices of that keyword term. Then we'll go ahead and target our experiment. In this case, we're going to target it to users on a mobile device who are not near one of our physical stores. Then we're going to run it, and we're going to analyze our results. And finally, we're going to determine a winner. Hopefully that winner is something along the lines of one of the variations that shows online-only items in our free delivery. So then we get to personalization, the last step of our optimization framework. And I care so much about personalization that I've actually created a whole nother framework for this. Because we ask ourselves often what personalized experiences should you be providing to your customers and what's the benefit. So I'm going to walk through that thinking in this additional framework. So first we're going to start with mass scale. So this is looking at your largest group of users. Then specialization, referral source, and finally down to one-to-one actions with our users. So our first one, mass scale. This is understanding our audience so that we can target our largest user base. So back to my days in the Google for Work or G Suite group, one of our early pages that we had for the site when I came into the org was this. We had this big headline that said, "Discover a better way of working." And our marketing team loved this headline. They thought that they were selling this holistic suite of tools. You got Gmail and Docs and Drive, and it was all going to help you work better wherever you were. But our engineering team said, well, that's kind of a load of crap. We know that 80% of people who sign up for a trial of Google Apps for Business only ever use Gmail. So let's change the headline to something focused on Gmail. And so we were running this testing program, and I was like, OK, we can test this. So we ran a headline test. We ran that Discover a Better Way of Working headline against a bunch of headlines that our engineering team proposed. That's an important factor here. If you take a read, you'll see there's one there, get email for your domain. Our marketing team especially hated this one. You can kind of understand why. Who wants to talk about domains when you're talking to marketers coming to sign up for apps for business? But we went ahead and ran this test, ran for 2 weeks. I, unfortunately, was halfway across the world. I was in Sydney for a conference. I was getting ready to go to bed. It was morning Mountain View time. And I start getting frantic pings from my VP of marketing. And she is saying, don't you dare launch that variant. And I was thinking, like, oh no, got to check the results really quickly. And what I found was not only did get email for your domain win, it blew the other one out of the water. It was 20% better at getting people to sign up for a trial of our product. So at the same time that I'm getting these frantic pings from my VP of marketing, I am getting frantic pings from my VP of engineering. And he is saying, hey, you know that server-side testing tool that we built you that you're running this test on and all of the other hundreds of tests that you run on? Well, if you don't launch my variant, pull in all support for it. So unfortunately, much to the dismay of our marketing team, we went ahead and launched this. And I spent the next 3 hours of my night, when I should have been sleeping, creating new test plans. Because the next day we launched not only this, but we launched a couple of follow-up tests to try to get us back to a more marketing-friendly version of this. If you fast forward about a month, we actually ended up with a headline that said, get Gmail for your business, and a sub-headline that said something along the lines of, and Docs, Drive, and all these other things that you can do with the suite. So, excuse me, everyone was happy. Engineering was really happy. Lesson to self, to all of you, make sure that you clear these headlines or any tests that you're going to do with your organization before you run them, and that you have an understanding that if one wins, you'll actually launch it. Excuse me. So that brings us to the next step of our personalization maturity framework, which is specialization. So this is targeting specific groups of users with specific experiences. For example, a specific locale with location-specific content. So back to this lovely website. We still have this awful headline at that point. This was our US English website. I don't know about a lot of your companies, but at Google in our marketing department, we often have one global template that we localize for all of our different locales. So US English, Japanese. English, Japanese, right? It's the same website with Japanese translation. Who here has ever seen a Japanese website? They don't look like this. They are busy. There are hundreds of widgets all over the page. I like to joke that there's like confetti flying and everything. There's so much going on. In fact, it makes me a little bit overwhelmed. I don't know what to do and how to interact with this page. But that's OK. I'm not supposed to. I'm not Japanese, and that's not what I'm used to. But our Japanese audience is, and our website was not working for them. Oftentimes in business in Japan, this is something I learned from my local teams, they want to be handheld through a process of buying enterprise software. They want to sit down at a meeting table and have printouts of all of the information about this product. They want to physically hand this printout to people in the organization above them, and that's how they do business. And so my team said, hey, you have this, I'm going to go back to the English version, this contact sales gray button at the top. We get literally 0 clicks on this in Japan. Nobody's going to fill out a form to contact sales on our website. Let's replace it. Let's replace it with a guided flow. This is going to be a pop-up box that actually walks through every step in this trial process, what they'll get during this 30-day period, what they should expect at the end of it, what they would need to go through to actually upgrade to a paying customer, and it's printable. So we tested it. And what we found was that it increased clicks on that button by almost 700%. And more importantly, it increased the start trial process by 8%. So this test was a huge success in Japan. And because we didn't learn from our own mistakes, we tried running this test in the US and the UK, and it failed miserably, because that's not how we buy enterprise software. So really, really key learnings here that led to a large increase in local sales based on actually speaking to a local audience. So we actually wanted to take this a couple steps farther. We mocked up a website of what a more Japanese-style version of the site could be. We made even a mock of like a Tokyo headline that we would replace for the canvas. And a year later, after a lot of testing, we actually launched this website on the far right, which was a much more local version of our Japanese website. It was the first time we ever stepped outside of our global template. And it led to a lot higher conversion. So the next step of our personalization maturity model is the referral source. So ads are a really valuable insight of customer intent and customer interest. You've likely spent a lot of time creating these highly customized ads that are targeting specific audiences. And when somebody clicks through one of these ads, you want them to land on a page where you're carrying that message through, and you're still targeting that very specific audience that you've spent so much time thinking about. So we want to find the right landing page. So let's think about an example. Let's say that you're a shoe company, and you are targeting a group of 18 to 24-year-olds with a sale for summer shoes, or summer shoe sale. And you've spent a lot of time creating the ads that are going along with this campaign, and you've highly targeted them to reach your 18 to 24-year-old audience, and you get them to engage. They click on this ad, and you've brought them to your landing page. And you spent time creating this landing page with the explicit intent of matching this audience's intent. So you come up with something like this. You have a nice picture of some fun 18 to 24-year-olds. They're having fun in the sun. There's some sunglasses and some summery shoes. Even talks about the sale. This is a pretty good landing page, right? But how do we know? How do we know that this is the best way to reach that audience? There might be a better way. We could try something a little bit less common. Maybe we could try targeting them with a landing page that speaks emoji, because our 18 to 24-year-old millennial audience perhaps speaks emoji more than they speak other things. It might seem funny to some people in this room, but hey, it could work. But we don't know that until we test it. And so we would like to have a tailored landing page, not only to the audience, but one that we're testing along the way. That could be a lot of overhead for your development teams and for your testing teams. But thankfully, we have a lot of tools these days that actually make this a lot easier. So Google Optimize, it's our testing tool here at Google. It actually recently announced that we've finally opened up our AdWords integration with Optimize to the public. So this actually allows you to target a keyword, a campaign, an ad group, anything you want from your AdWords setup to specific landing pages. So you can actually do this in a much more programmatic way. So really exciting integration, really exciting prospects from testing out these landing pages to different audiences. Our last step of the personalization maturity model is actions. We want to target people one-to-one based on the actions that they have taken on our site. So here we have a website called Light in the Box. It's an online e-commerce website. And I've gone to the site, and I've searched for digital cameras. I'm showing my intent that I'm interested in digital cameras. I might have even added one to my cart, but I haven't checked out yet. So let's flip again, and now we're the analyst. And because we're good analysts, we're gonna analyze this flow. So we start with people coming to the website and viewing a digital camera, adding to our cart, but we actually see that very, very few people in this case are checking out. Only 3 people. That's pretty bad. This is a custom funnels report in Google Analytics 360. I love this report because if you click on any one of those red arrows at the bottom, it will actually open up a box that says, in this case, from add to cart to checkout, hey, you had 2,346 people that added to their cart, but they didn't check out. Do you want to create a segment or an audience and remarket to these people? Well, yes, we're all good analysts, we're all good marketers here. Of course we want to remarket to these people. They've shown intent, they want to buy this camera. We want to bring them back and remind them of that. And not only do we want to bring them back with remarketing, but we probably want to incentivize them. So maybe we can offer them free shipping via an ad. And when they click that ad, we want to carry that intent through and that message through to the landing page. Perhaps they're landing on a landing page that is featuring digital cameras, the ones that they've even looked at maybe. And we'll bring that ad through too and say, welcome back. Get free shipping on your next order. Really, really powerful when you start to bring a lot of these things together, a lot of these personalization tips. So this is the personalization maturity framework. We walked through starting at mass scale at the top of the funnel, really just understanding who your largest group of users are. We went all the way down to one-to-one actions that a user has taken on your website. And we put that back into our optimization framework, where we started with analyze, hypothesize, test, and finally personalize. So that's all I have for you guys today. I'd love to go ahead and take a few questions if we have some time. Thank you.